The greatest lie society teaches us is that setting yourself on fire to keep your children warm makes you a good parent. It doesn't, my dear. It just leaves you with nothing but ashes. Stop begging for a seat at a table that you paid for with your own life savings. Listen to me very closely, because I learned this the hardest way imaginable. At 99 years old, the world moves incredibly fast around me. The days often blur together, but my mind remains fiercely clear, and the memories of an entire lifetime play like a quiet, uninterrupted movie in my head. When you live to be nearly a century old, you begin to see the true patterns of life. You see what truly matters, what fades away with time, and what slowly destroys the soul from the inside out. Today, I want to speak to you about a very specific kind of pain. It is a pain that many mothers, fathers, and grandparents carry in complete, suffocating silence. It is a secret shame that stays locked tightly away behind the closed doors of beautiful suburban houses and hidden beneath polite, forced smiles at holiday dinners. It is the profound heartbreak of giving absolutely everything you have to the people you brought into this world, only to wake up in the twilight of your life and realize you are left with nothing. Not your home, not your savings, and most devastatingly of all, not even their time, their affection, or their respect. Society teaches us a very dangerous, intoxicating lesson. We are raised to believe that unconditional love means unconditional sacrifice. We are told that a good mother bleeds herself dry for her children without a single complaint. But I am here to tell you, carrying the heavy weight of 99 years of living and observing, that when you give away your last drop of water, no one will thank you for the terrible drought you must endure. They will simply look at you and wonder why you are so thirsty. Let me share with you my own story. Let me tell you exactly how I lost my entire world simply by trying to save theirs. Many decades ago, my late husband and I worked our hands down to the bone. We didn't have much in the beginning, just a small, drafty apartment and a whole lot of big dreams. Over the years, through sweat, countless late nights, and saving every single penny we could spare, we built a beautiful, respectable life. We bought a wonderful, warm house. We sent our 3 children to good schools. We gave them the solid foundation we never had growing up. When my husband passed away 15 years ago, my world entirely stopped spinning. But I still had our home, our sanctuary, filled with a lifetime of beautiful memories. I had enough savings to live out my remaining years in peace, comfort, and, most importantly, dignity. But then, the struggles began for my children. My eldest son came to me one evening with tears standing in his eyes. His business was failing, and he was on the absolute verge of bankruptcy. He needed a massive loan. A mother's first instinct is always to protect, to fix, to heal. So I dipped very heavily into my retirement funds. A year later, my daughter went through a bitter, messy divorce and suddenly had nowhere to go. She asked if she and her children could move in with me. Of course, I said yes without hesitation. I am their mother. Soon after, they all sat me down and convinced me that the big house was simply too much for an old woman to manage alone. "Sell the house, Mom," they pleaded. "Give us our inheritance early so we can pool our resources and buy a larger property together. You will live with us. We will take care of you forever." It sounded exactly like love. It sounded like the ultimate vision of family. So I did it. I sold the beloved home my husband built with his own 2 hands. I handed over the large checks. I packed up my life and moved into the small back bedroom of their new, modern, sprawling house. For the first few months, it was nice. But slowly, inevitably, the atmosphere began to shift. The money was fully spent, and suddenly, I was no longer the revered matriarch who had saved them from ruin. I became a burden. The conversations grew remarkably short. The family dinners were eaten without me because they were always too busy to wait for me to carefully walk down the stairs. My grandchildren were taught, by observation, to see me as a mere inconvenience, someone always standing in the way of their fast-paced, modern lives. When I needed a ride to the doctor's office, it was treated as a massive, exhausting chore, accompanied by heavy sighs and rolling eyes. I had funded the very roof over their heads, yet I was made to feel like an unwanted guest who had drastically overstayed her welcome. I realized, with a crushing, suffocating weight on my chest, that by giving them everything, I had completely stripped myself of my own power. I had become a transparent ghost in a home my own life savings had purchased. When I handed over the keys to my independence, I felt a knot in my stomach. A quiet voice had whispered that I was making a terrible mistake, but I silenced it with the loud, demanding voice of maternal duty. I spent my days confined to my small room, listening to the muffled sounds of a family life I was no longer a central part of. If I offered advice, I was swiftly reminded that this was their house. "Things are different now, Mom," my daughter would snap. "You don't understand how the world works anymore." The sheer audacity of it broke my heart. I survived nearly a century of this harsh world, yet suddenly I knew absolutely nothing. They did not mean to be maliciously cruel, perhaps, but entitlement is a slow, insidious poison. When you give someone everything, they stop seeing it as a precious gift and immediately start demanding it as their fundamental right. Listen to me very carefully, my dear, because this is the hardest, most vital truth you will ever learn in your life. You absolutely cannot buy love, and you certainly cannot buy respect. Boundaries are not just meant for strangers. They are fiercely necessary for the people you love the most in this world. Do not ever set yourself on fire simply to keep others warm, not even your own children. There is a profound, universe-sized difference between helping someone and completely enabling them. When you constantly catch people before they hit the ground, you entirely rob them of the chance to learn how to stand up on their own 2 feet. And worse, when you sacrifice your own foundational security to do so, you strip yourself of your personal dignity. When you are old, your independence is your single most valuable asset. It is your shield against the cruelty of the world. Never, ever hand over the keys to your independence. Keep your home. Keep your savings locked away. Keep a physical space that is entirely, undeniably yours, where you make the rules and where you can breathe freely without asking for permission. If your children truly love you, they will never, ever ask you to empty your cup just to fill theirs. True love from a child actively protects a parent's dignity. It does not exploit it for financial gain. When you give people everything without requiring anything in return, you do not teach them beautiful gratitude. You teach them ugly entitlement. You condition them to believe that your monumental sacrifices are merely the baseline, the bare minimum requirement for your existence in their lives. And the very moment you finally say no, or the moment you simply run out of things to give, you instantly become the villain in their story. Protect your sanctuary with everything you have. Never assume that the immense love you pour into someone will act as a guaranteed insurance policy for your old age. People change. Circumstances change. The relentless pressures of modern life often erode the deepest bonds of familial respect. If you want to leave an inheritance, leave it safely tucked away in your will. Let them inherit your wealth only after you have lived out your days in absolute comfort and undisputed dignity. Your golden years are called golden for a reason. They are supposed to be the peaceful time when you finally rest, when you finally enjoy the sweet fruits of your decades of grueling labor. They are not meant to be a time of intense, trembling anxiety, walking on eggshells in someone else's house, begging for a tiny scrap of attention or basic human decency. Now, as I sit in this quiet, solitary room, watching the golden sunlight slowly fade across the wooden floorboards, I have a great deal of time to think. I do not hate my children. A mother's heart is a remarkably strange, resilient thing. It does not know how to simply stop loving, even when it is deeply bruised, battered, and cast aside. I still pray for them every single night before I close my eyes. But I grieve. I grieve deeply and profoundly for the relationship we could have had if I had only been strong enough to look them in the eye and say the word no. I grieve for the mutual respect that evaporated the very moment I became completely dependent on their charity. But through all this pain, I have also learned to forgive myself. I forgive that younger version of me who truly thought she was doing the right, noble thing. She acted out of pure, unadulterated love, out of a desperate, primal desire to see her children thrive and be happy. She just didn't know that sometimes the most profoundly loving thing you can possibly do for a child is to let them stand alone and face their own storms. Peace comes not from magically fixing the past, but from bravely accepting the cold, hard truth of it. I have finally found my peace, even here, sitting with my empty hands. I know my own immense worth now, even if I had to lose absolutely everything to finally discover it. I share this not to seek your pity. Pity is a useless, hollow emotion. I share this because I know with absolute certainty that there is a woman or a man listening to my voice right now who is standing dangerously close to the precipice of making the exact same mistake. My dear friend, if you are listening to this right now and you find yourself constantly pouring from an utterly empty cup, I need you to stop. Take a step back. Look closely at what you are doing to your own soul. If you are a parent feeling the crushing pressure to give away your life savings, your home, or your peace of mind to save a grown adult, hold on to your security. Love your children fiercely, but love yourself enough to fiercely protect your own twilight years. Choose yourself. It is not a sin to choose yourself. The greatest gift you can give your family is not your money, but the undeniable example of a life lived with unwavering self-respect. And if you are a child listening to this, I beg of you to deeply reflect on how you treat the elders in your life. Do not take their immense sacrifices for granted. Call your mother. Visit your father. Show them the profound respect they have rightfully earned. Remember that one day, you too will be old, and you will reap exactly the seeds you are planting today. If my story touched your heart today, please leave a comment below. Share your own experiences, because I read every single one of them, and we find profound strength in each other's shared stories. Share this video with someone who might desperately need to hear this hard truth today. And do not forget to subscribe to our little community here, so we can sit together again and share more wisdom. Until next time, take beautiful care of your heart and remember your worth.